Welcome back, listeners, to another episode of Yeah, I Said It. And before we start the program, I want to give a big shout out to the editor in chief of BehindTheSteelCurtain.com. My co host on The Standard is The Standard, Jeff Hartman. I also want to give a big shout out to the Oracle Dave Schofield and Big Bro Sco for the outstanding job that they do on the Steelers Stat Geek. Last but not least, I want to give a big shout out to Who's Bad? Hashtag Mr. 2AM, Brian Anthony Davis. And also want to give a big shout out to Tony Defio. Big up to Brad Jewett. I've been waiting to do it all day as well. And I want to apologize again. If you're on the East Coast, you're not going to get the YouTube show. And it's unfortunate that I can't do it till about this time, every Friday, which is about 11 p.m. on the East Coast. Um, Hopefully, Brad, you're on the West Coast. You're listening to this show as you prepare to go out and have some fun. But as you see at the top of the program, the title of this program is simply, Yeah, I Said It. The Steelers should draft all offense because now I'm hoping, because on my notes, it says defense. I'm hoping that when I typed out the title of the show, I said offense. If I didn't, I want to apologize, but I meant to say offense. This is what happens when you've been doing stuff all day. I want to apologize for that if I got it incorrect. And also, I want to big up to Carnegie Mellon, my alma mater, and I'm wearing red today because of women's heart health. And I want to give a shout out to that cause because I believe that heart disease is the leading killer of women in the United States. And we all have moms, we're all sons, we're all daughters, we have aunts, we have cousins, we have grandmoms. And, I'm sure we've all had a woman in our families uh, suffer or maybe pass away due to heart disease. So this is why I'm wearing red. This is a shout out to a great cause in women's heart health. And I wanted to just show some recognition for that. But on this particular episode, the Steelers should draft all offense because of two big things. One, there's a need of a total talent injection on the offensive side of football, in my opinion. And number two, one which may be a little bit more controversial, is offense wins championships. Now, I did a lot of research because as a Steeler fan, the second one feels sacrilegious. It feels like, as a North Sider, a Manchester representative, 15233 15212, Columbus Avenue, Pennsylvania Avenue, Adams Street, the Field, Manchester Elementary, St. Joe's, Fulton Street, Western Ave, North Ave, that for me to say offense wins championships when I've watched the Steelers win multiple titles due to a strong running game, which is offense, by the way, and dominant defenses. I mean, the Steelers are known for defense. I mean, they're the living embodiment of defense. I mean, they're the steel curtain. I mean, the story of the NFL can't be told without talking about the steel curtain and the Steelers' dominant defenses. Ironically, the Steelers' best defense, I believe the 75 defense, Brian Anthony Davis is a Steeler historian, was probably the best defense of the 70s. And that team did not win a Super Bowl due to the fact that Franco Harris and Rocky Bleier got hurt in the AFC Championship going up against the Oakland Raiders, who no longer are in existence, by the way. But let me get back to point A, and I'm gonna touch back on point B because I gathered a lot of stats for that. I think when you look at the Steelers' offense, there's no home run hitter. There's no one in particular in the running back position or the wide receiver position that scares you. Now, there are ball players on the come, meaning, Deontay Johnson, James Washington. that they're rising. They're up and rising stars. But they aren't guys, in my opinion, nor Juju Smith-Schuster, that dictate coverage, that scare you. And a perfect example of that is just recently from the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. And it's really hard to say that because I never thought I'd see Kansas City win a Super Bowl again in my lifetime. When they won the first Super Bowl, I think it was 1970. I was 1 years of age when they won their first Super Bowl. So I never thought I'd see them win a Super Bowl. So to say Kansas City Chiefs just feels really strange. But Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, they scare you. They make defensive coordinators, when you couple that with Patrick Mahomes, that offense in its totality makes defensive coordinators just downright petrified. It keeps guys up at night. I mean, they have to figure out creative ways to try to stop that three-headed monster. There's no three-headed monster in Pittsburgh on the offensive side of football. Now, Jeff and myself, we talked about the draft on Wednesday's episode of The Standard. The Standard, I urge you guys to take a listen to that. And we talked about some of the draft positions that Mark Cabali of The Athletic, that he talked about in his article. And in round 2, he selected wide receiver. He selected Justin Jefferson. As I'm reading from the article here, round 3, his running back was Zach Moss from Utah. Now, if you guys know me, you know I'm not a college football guy. I really don't like college football except Cal football because I'm a Cal alum. Other than that, I really don't get down with college football. The hashes are weird. It's really about recruiting, not about anything else. So I really don't like college football. I'll watch the national championship game. Me and my boys, my crew, the Justice League, big up to all my crew. We'll get together and we'll watch. But other than that, I really don't have patience for college football. Round 4, he had defensive linemen. So I don't know players. So I'm just giving you the player names that he listed in his article. Defensive lineman, Davin Hamilton from Ohio State. Offensive guard, round 4, Solomon Kinley. Round 6, linebacker, Khalid Hudson from Michigan. Round 7, Yasir Durant from Missouri. I would scrap any of the defensive players that he listed. And again, yeah, I said it. The Steelers should draft all offense because they need a talent injection on the offensive side of football, and offense wins championships. If it were me, I love the selection of the wide receiver in the second, the running back in the third. I would hit tight end. I would hit a guard. I would hit a tackle. I would probably hit another wide receiver and another offensive lineman, or maybe another tight end. They don't have tight ends that are really good in the roster unless they pick up Vance McDonald's option. The offensive line, I think, is a bit in flux because of Filer and BJ Finney's contract situations. This wide receiver draft is allegedly the deepest of all time, so you need to hit that. The running back position in a division which has Chubb, Ingram, and Mixon, and the MVP Lamar Jackson, you need an upgrade in talent there, particularly when James Conner is off injured and average at best. And Beanie Snell, Benny, no chance. Has no lateral quickness, needs to probably lose some pounds, and nobody is excited about Benny Snell football. Nobody. So with that being said, they need a talent injection on the offensive side of football. So I would go all offense. And my secondary point is because offense wins championships. Now let me dig into the spreadsheet that I put together for this show. Again, the Steelers should draft all offensive players because, point B, offense wins championships. Now, I took a look at the last 5 years, 2019, 2018, 2017, 2016, and 2015. And I took a look at offensive points per game scored by teams that made the playoffs and Super Bowl winners. Now, if you look at just Super Bowl winners, the average offensive ranking for Super Bowl winners is 13. I'll round that off to 14. Now, you might be saying to yourself, the offensive rank is 14. That's middle of the road. But the reason why it's middle of the road is because the Broncos, and I believe this was in 2015, the year when Peyton Manning, I believe it was Peyton Manning's last season. It's the Omaha Bronco team. That offense ranked 18th. But the other four winners, starting from 2019 to 2016, ranked second, fourth, first, and third. Let me say that again. Second, fourth, first, and third. The outlier being the Broncos at 18. Now, I took that a little bit further and looked at the number of playoff appearances by teams with top 10 offenses in that 5-year period. And the number was 35. Roughly 60% of the teams that made the playoffs in that 5-year period were top 10 offensive teams. One of the outliers, ironically enough, was the Pittsburgh Steelers team in 2018 that averaged 27 points per game, which was ranked fifth, but did not make the playoffs. Now, where that digs in a little bit deeper is the magical stat. And I think this stat is affected or impacted more by offense is point differential. And that's simply the amount of points, they call it PF, points that you score, subtracted by the points that you give up, points allowed, PA. Your point differential has to be above a touchdown. And it almost needs to be as high as 10 points, meaning you have to be beating teams by almost an average of 10 points, a touchdown and a field goal, extra point, the 10 points. So if you can beat a team by 10 points, what that basically says is you're absolutely dominant. You are killing bad teams, and you are still beating good teams by a fairly comfortable margin. Now, the average point differential for the Super Bowl winners over the last 5 years is 8.8. If you round that up, that is 9. Let me give you the point differential for the 2019 playoff teams. Ravens 13.7, Chiefs 9.7, 49ers 10.1, Saints 6.5, Patriots 11.1. So when you get below that double digit mark, you get the Titans 4.3, Seahawks 0.5, Vikings 5.2. The Texans were a negative, ironically. The Packers 2.9, Eagles 1.4, Bills 3.1. The Steelers were a minus zero point 0.8 in 2019. That shows you that they. So what it shows you is the closer your point differential, again, you're in very close games. You're competitive, but you're in very close games, which just means you're basically bad to average. High point differential means you're killing teams, you're elite. Now, nothing guarantees anything. Like, no stat is going to guarantee anything. But I am not surprised that the Chiefs and the 49ers were in the Super Bowl. If you look at point differential, they both average close to 30 points and beat teams by 10 points. When you're that good on both sides of the ball, you're more than likely going to compete for championships. But when you look at both sides of the ball and you need to get to that point differential of around 10, what is going to impact that more is going to be points that you score. Let me give you an example. With the Steelers in 2019, to get close to a point differential of 10, which would have made them elite. So teams with a point differential of 10 are elite. Scoring 18.1 points per game, they would have had to have given up 8 points a game. In the day's current NFL, there is no way in the world that the Steelers would have been able to give up 8 points per game. I don't care how good Minka Fitzpatrick was. And they had the fifth ranked defense in the National Football League. And it's only as high as 18.9 in terms of defensive points per game because of the first two games without Minka Fitzpatrick. Or the game against the Patriots. Yeah, the first two, and the Seattle Seahawks without Minka Fitzpatrick. Even then, let's say it was 16 points. And you would have to, because they scored 18.1, even if they got it down 2 more points, 3 more points because of Minka, that still puts you at a point differential of below 4, which means you're still average. If you want to kind of ensure that you're going to have your best chance to win a championship, score a bunch of points and be good situationally on defense, third down, red zone, but score a ton of points. Now, let me give you another example. And we all dislike that team up north. And that team up north is the New England Patriots. That's what I call them because I really don't like to call them by their name because of the pain and suffering. Speaking in my Yoda voice, pain and suffering that they've caused the Steelers. But let me give you their points per game. And the league is really lucky because they only gave up 14 points a game this year, but they only scored 26. I shouldn't say only. But this year was like their lowest points per game on offense in the last 5. And that's why they did not go to the Super Bowl, not because of the defense. They averaged 25, about 26 this year. 2018, they averaged 28. 2017, they averaged 29. 2016, they averaged 29. 2015, they averaged 28. So what it is saying is, if you can score close to 30, have a point differential of above 8, close to 9, you're going to compete. And the way you get to that is by scoring points. It's just much more easy to score points in this league currently the way the rules are situated. So I talked about it a couple of shows ago about the Steelers window being open. And one of those criteria was you had to have a franchise quarterback that was affordable, and you had to be elite on one side of the football. Clearly, when you look at these numbers that I'm telling you, balance is great. You need to be good on both sides of the ball. But if you're going to pick a side, it has to be the offensive side of football. You have to have the ability to score close to 30 points per game if you want to win a championship. That's why Jeff and I talked about it over and over and over. That magic numbers for the Steelers offense is 30 points per game. Because if you score 30 points per game, even if you give up 22 points a game, you're still at 8 in terms of point differential, which still is going to put you in a great place. I mean, look at the Kansas City Chiefs in 2018. They scored 35 points a game and gave up 26 points a game. I can't even imagine giving up 26 points per game. But their point differential was 8.6, and they were in the AFC Championship game and a false start away from Dee Ford of going to the Super Bowl. 35 a game, giving up 27 a game, and they still were a play away, literally, of going to the Super Bowl. Now, their defense got them in the end, and that's not to say that you don't have to play quality defense at some point in time. But again, I would rather be elite on the offensive side of football and good situationally than vice versa. because you just can't get your point differential to a place where it needs to be, which means you're an elite team. Let me look at 2017. This is another interesting one. In 2016, I'll give you the Falcons, 34.1 points per game, number one in the National Football League. They gave up 25 points a game, which ranked 27th. Point differential, 8.8. They're in the Super Bowl. Albeit they lost, Patriots epic comeback. They win the game, but still, if you want to win a championship, you have to be elite on the offensive side of the ball. In that year, ironically, the Patriots ranked third in offense, 29 points per game, gave up 16, and were ranked first in terms of defensive points per game, which put them at number one, and their point differential was 12.3. Dominant teams blow people out. They don't play close games often. They kick people's tails. If you want to win a championship and you want to kick people's tails, you better score points. I'll just give you the ridiculous scenario of you could score, if you scored 40 points per game and you gave up 30, I'm going to guess that you're probably going to be in a championship game. That your offense is so supernatural that it will be able to make up for a lot of your defensive shortcomings. And the way these rules are situated, you would just be very hard to stop. So again, yeah, I said it. The Steelers should draft all defense because they need a talent injection on that side of the ball and because offense wins championships. You got to be able to score a bunch of points. You got to have a large point differential. And lastly, if I want to add a C, Ben Roethlisberger's in his last two seasons. Possibly, if his injury situation is right, he's in his last two seasons. So you've got to give Ben Roethlisberger and the quarterback position, the most important position, all of the necessary tools it needs. On the defensive side of football, particularly if they franchise Bud Dupree and bring Bud Dupree back, they're pretty stout there. And if you have any cap space, you might want to address it on the defensive side of football to plug and play some spots. But drafting, they need to draft all offensive players. They've got to be able to score more points. That 18 a game, they need to score at least a touchdown more. Probably 10 points more. They have to get that points per game average up to about 28. Because can you imagine how good they would be if they scored 28 points per game and the defense performed in a very similar fashion than they did last year? If you got that scenario, that's a Super Bowl winning team. That's a Super Bowl winning team. And let me just go through my chart again when it comes to defense. So in 2019, the Patriots were ranked number one in defense. They did not win a Super Bowl. In 2018, the Bears were ranked number one in defense in terms of points per game. Did not win a Super Bowl. In 2017, the number one defense in terms of points per game did not make the playoffs. In 2016, the Patriots actually were the only team that were ranked number one in points per game that won a Super Bowl. They did it in 2016. In 2015, the Chiefs were number one in defense. They did not win a Super Bowl. So you can see offense is more important. The Ravens, in terms of offense, did not win it this year. The Chiefs went to the AFC Championship in 2018. The Eagles were in the Super Bowl. They beat the Patriots and won it. The Falcons lost in a heartbreaker in overtime, but they got to the Super Bowl. 2015, the Panthers got to the Super Bowl. So you could just see it right there. 2015, Super Bowl appearance by the number one offense. 2016, Super Bowl appearance by the number one offense. 2017, Super Bowl appearance by the number one offense. 2018, AFC Championship by the number one offense. And in 2019, they lost in the divisional round. So look, dominate on the offensive side of football. So if you have a franchise quarterback, it only makes sense that you give your franchise quarterback the necessary weapons so you can have a dominant offense. Having a dominant offense year in and year out is going to give you the best opportunity to win a championship. That's why the Steelers should draft all offense in the 2020 draft. And I feel dirty. I feel dirty saying it. I mean, I feel absolutely dirty. I'm an old school Steeler fan from the 70s. I feel absolutely dirty about saying it. Now, before we get out of here, let me get in the live chat. I see it's kind of popping. And so Thaddeus Kennedy asked, what were the Steelers ranked in 2005 and 2008 when they won the Super Bowl? They were pretty bad on offense, actually. Um, I could look it up real quick, but I don't want to bore you guys with it. I'm sure somebody on the live chat could bring it up. CD said at Big Swall, one draft isn't going to take the Steelers to the number one offense. You're absolutely right. They probably need two drafts. Thank you for making my point. They probably need to draft almost all offense this year and next year. So at least they got a ton of depth and they can get some quality playmakers on the offensive side of the ball. So you're probably right. It's not one draft, it's probably multiple drafts. But I think we can all assume, or we all see from the numbers that I've illustrated, the quickest path to trying to get another championship is on that side of the football. You're not going to defense your way to a championship. That just does not happen. So I push hard said, "Oh, I stand corrected. It says defense, but he meant offense." Yes, it says defense, but I meant offense. That's just I apologize for that. That's just me being tired and writing my notes wrong. But everything was offense. So hopefully you were shocked by it being an offensive show. Um, but yeah, it's all about the offensive side of football. I mean, you just have to get it done. Now, that's not to say um, you can be terrible on defense, but it's better to be situationally good on defense and fantastic on offense than vice versa. To be average on offense and fantastic on defense. Your point differential is just not going to put you in a place where you're elite. You're going to play a lot of competitive games because you can't score. And playing a ton of competitive games just puts you in a position to lose games. So again, and before I get out of here, yeah, I said it. The Steelers should draft all offense. One, because they need talent on that side of the ball, and because offense wins championship. Ken Cranston. Yeah, I am sorry. I'm sorry, Ken. Sorry, Ken. Big up to Mr. R. Olivares. Love your show, Lance. Goes great with dinner. Thank you in Steeler Nation. Oh, I have been told that I have a nice sultry voice, so I'm sure I go down with a nice cognac and a little bit of scotch. Yes. Yes. But anyway, I'm going to get out of here. It's been a long day. I want to thank all of you guys for chiming in, especially if you listen to the live chat. You've been in a live chat and it's late on the East Coast. Also, to Thaddeus Kennedy, I had not heard that information about Deontay Johnson. I'm sure Brian Anthony Davis will bring it up in his Saturday show. Hopefully he's okay. Let's just hope he's healthy. But with that, Kid Crass is killing me. Don't let it happen again. Just messing with you, bro. Love the content. I actually did a little bit of grinding, and what I might do is I might share this spreadsheet so you guys can take a look at the spreadsheet because it took me a little bit of time to do it. I got my little Stat Geeky on, I got my Carnegie Mellon, we can be geekish. So I want to just dive into my numbers because it's all about offense. It's all about point differential. And the point differential, you need to be an elite team. You just can't get there on the defensive side of football because it's just too difficult to play defense consistently in the National Football League. Oh, Brad. Yeah, Brad. I'll put my email. I don't. Well, Yeah, Brad. Email me your draft projections. I'm kind of scared to put my email on the group chat because you guys might be killing me in my email, ripping me. But anyway, we'll see. We'll see. Um, it might be on BTSC. I know you can send it to Jeff. Send it to Jeff. Send it to Jeff. I'm sure Jeff has a BTSC email out there. So if you want to send Brad your draft projections, and you guys want to send your draft projections, I'm sure Jeff won't mind. And I think Jeff has a email address. I'm not creating a second email account. I'm not Kevin Durant. I'm not going to have a burner email account so I can rip people on my burner account. Yeah, Thaddeus. Yes, I am scared, Thaddeus. You guys will probably send me some content that'll get me in trouble. But anyway, let me get off this show. And I want to appreciate you guys for tuning in. I appreciate all of the great words and content. Again, if you guys want to help us out, like the show, please. Mark Carmichael said, that would be funny. Richard Gummies. No, it's Gummy Richards. That would be a funny email address. Gummy Richards at gmail.com. Don't take that. I might use that as Gummy Richards at gmail.com. That might be my burner email account, but I guess it wouldn't be burner email account if uh if I did it. Oh, well, we'll figure it out in terms of the draft projections and stuff. We'll figure out a way to get that stuff. But with that, we're going to conclude the program. And as always, tune in, tell a friend, and subscribe.